Christ on a cracker. You want to talk about something sketchy. Something just significant just fell in my lap and I just jumped on it. 1 in a million shot at a salvage yard, and I just took it home and said, fuck it. So many things to do, what ifs, buts, worries, all types of mental anguish. So many things I gotta try at once. It's like a hot dish of problems and possibilities. Brace yourselves. '75 Cadillac Fleetwood d'Elegance that hasn't ran since 1998. No title, no battery, battery wires are cut, no keys. God knows what else I'm missing. It's just one of those things that drives you to drink. Oh yeah. Let's get to it, because I'm gonna need a hell of a lot more than that one little fucker to get this thing up and running. It's not just me that needs a drink, this fucking thing needs it too. I just was looking for an Oldsmobile part, to tell you the truth. That's how it started. Still working on the cruise control transducer, modulator, whatever the fuck you call it. Yeah, speedometer's acting up, so I went to the junkyard to go look for a part. Went through their new inventory lot, and this thing showed up, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I need it or not, but one thing led to another. So close. I was so close from taking this home. I was ready to trade my Mercury for this car. But no, they wouldn't want to take the Mercury. They were like, nah, we have a hard time selling them Ford vehicles. Somewhere around this lot, they got a 73 Lincoln Mark IV that runs with a title and it's from Montana with no rust, but apparently they can't sell the darn thing, and they're like, well, we couldn't take that, your Mercury, just because you have a hard time selling the Lincoln, we have a hard time selling the Mercury, so no trade. But $2,000, so and I'm like, I don't know, so I had to bite my tongue on that. I mean, I got the money, but I'm not sure if I want to spend it on something like this, you know. Trade-in, sure, but still. You know, I don't regret trading my first Cadillac, the brown one, for the Oldsmobile, but you know, part of me still misses it, you know, kind of like unfinished business type of thing. But you know, I guess it wasn't meant to be. You know, that brown car, it had things that weren't great for daily driver usage, which is why I traded it. I needed something that was a good work car. That Cadillac, that brown one, just wasn't good enough as a daily driver. Hell, I couldn't keep it up to modern day travel without revving the piss out of it, so. But as a project car, that's a whole nother story. But this just wasn't in the cards. Oh well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. It's here. Wasn't even looking for a car. What are the odds? I had a 76 like 4 or 5 months ago. Now I'm sitting on a 75 with better interior. It's a d'Elegance, so it's all fluffy and shaggy inside, which is what I like. I mean, there's no title, but there's a bill of sale, so with a little fancy paperwork, I can get one remade. But there's a lot of fucking shit I gotta go through. I mean, this is just fucking, it is what it is. The hood was locked. I mean, not lock, but they seize up when they don't get used enough. So had to bitch and kick and scream at it like it owed me money, and it opens up. Still a little stiff, but I oiled the piss out of the hinges. 500 cubic inch, because that's the only way Cadillac does it. And I'll say another thing, I did get the motor to turn over just a little bit with some sketchy work at the salvage yard. I took some tidbits of videos when I was there, so this is like the introduction to the whole fucking thing. So started with the Oldsmobile stuff, literally pointing at that car because I parked it over here, but started with the Oldsmobile stuff, now it just segued into a Cadillac. So how can I say ultimately no? I was wondering, but yeah, fuck it, you know. I'll take my chances with it. Motor turns over just a few inches, but it's enough to know I ain't locked up, and the starter kicks on with some sketchy work, you know, for the wiring. Let's see here. Get you in close to the motor. Now, this air breather cover was, how should I say, the wing nut was basically welded on through rust, so had to give it some PB Blaster and some massaging, and I got it off. Luckily the carburetor isn't seized, it's still flexible, it moves, so there's some mice action, but not as much. You know, my Mercury had a hell of a lot more mice problems than I think this car is going to give me. A lot more nuts and berries put away on the motor in that car, and the air breather cover didn't have a whole colony of nuts piled up by the air filter. The Mercury did that, but not this car. But I can't do dick until I can turn the damn thing. I'm not going to do any sketchy wiring. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way by key, and I got a bunch of keys. So we're going to replace the ignition, the doors, and the trunk. We'll start with the ignition, because I can get the ignition key done, then I can start turning it on with the ignition, you know, on and off, on and off. Got a battery. We'll get the connections, the battery connections. They've been snipped, they've been circumcised. Replace those. I don't know why they did that. I've never come across that shit before. So, all sorts of crap. There's like a million things I gotta do at once, so I gotta sort out which is most important. So I'm gonna try with the ignition lock first. That way I can just get some type of control on this. Jiminy Cricket, I mean, what the fuck was the last person doing? You know, it's all snipped. A little bit of rust action going on there, but that's what a shop vac's for. I can easily clean off this motor. What do we have here? Hey, back in 91 it was good to negative 35 degrees. Now I did check the tranny. Like I said, I got some videos of it when I first encountered this car. Checked the fluids. Transmission fluid is still cherry red. Oil's still clean, but I'm going to replace that. I ain't going to trust it. And actually the coolant is about half full, so the radiator's half full, so there's still fluids in this whole thing. But before I even work on the motor, I'm just going to give you a little look around. Not too bad. It's going to get the Pure 15 treatment eventually. 500. Now, if I remember correctly, the 472 was an option up until 74, and after that it was just 500 all the way until they downsized in 77 with the 425s. I don't know how much power these motors made. I just looped them all together in the mid-70s because they've all been detuned by the government intervention, so they all make just about 190 to 200 horsepower. Last year you can get actually anything decent for horsepower and performance with 71, which is the motor in my other Cadillac, and we've all seen what that fucking thing can do. Just wait till I rebuild it, that's still stock. My brown Cadillac had rust going through the nose of it. You know, these hoods are known for that. I call them eagle nose hoods just because, you know, they've been like an eagle nose. But with enough Pure 15, I can save just about anything. Gotta love how they did that with the blower motor. You have to take out the inner fender out just to get at it. Just access hole. Oil up those fucking hinges. You have to. You want to kink your hood and you want to wreck the hinges. So oil them up is mandatory if you're going to have these old fuckers. These two. And that. You know, that, and that. Hit the springs. I gotta do that to the carb too. Missed that step. We're gonna get into the ignition part now. I got a steering wheel puller and a compressor. See how hard that's gonna be, but it's the first step to getting this thing running. One step of a million, I guess. Sitting inside the car. First impressions are it's not that bad for smell. I'm not gonna deny there is. But it's not as bad compared to the Mercury. It's the only thing I got to go by, so it's almost musty, maybe a little bit of mouse piss. Kind of damp, but you know, my blue Oldsmobile had a similar smell, but it's not bad. You know. Smart on the last owners to do this. They usually keep the dash in good enough condition, minus the cracks. Anywho, cheap tool set from Mills. Rent a puller from O'Reilly's. I'm gonna take this fucker off so we can put this in. Fun fact for you guys, General Motors, it's about every 4 to 7 years, key locks, they repeat their pattern. So this being a 75, you'd either need a 71 or a 79 key. Chances are it may work, and I tested mine and no luck, except for one. It was like one tumbler away from going all the way, but it's like scratching a lottery ticket, so it's 1 in a million, but it never hurts to try. Just fun fact for you guys, if you're into the GM world, they tend to do that. They repeat their patterns. Keep your keys. You never know, they might come in handy if you're too cheap to rent one of these fucking things. Now, I could use a slide hammer and yank this thing out like a molar, but I'm told these are made out of cheap pot metal on purpose, because when you're in an accident, this is supposed to collapse, so you don't want going through your chest. So I don't like the idea of ripping this out and maybe wrecking this thing in the same process. So we'll do it the legal way. Oh, I wonder what this is, a cross point or a flat. What do we got here? Where's that hole? Huh. Neither. I thought it was something that required these. I got tools. I'll be back. Okay, again, from Menards, or Mills, cheap-ass socket set. What are we working with here? 1/4. That's what we're doing. I honestly thought it was like a screw or a Phillips or something of that nature. It's either 64 or 164. I'd say it's probably 164. My theory is this car was just driven like any other old car on the road for up till 98, and they said fuck it, they got a different vehicle and they just let this thing sit wherever it was sitting the last 22 years. That's my theory. Because the underside of this car is fucking... You'd swear it came from like the southwest, out of the desert. Is just mild surface rust on the gas tank, and the frame looks okay. So wherever this thing was sitting for 22 years, it wasn't like in a swamp or in a lot of moisture. This car could have easily been worse, but it's not. Can't do it by hand just yet. Get back to when I got this face off. That's off. Took a while. Now I gotta get this doohickey off. I remember taking my steering wheel off on my 77. The exact same fucking thing, so this is gonna come off. This did not age well. Well, what are the odds of this being the same size? Nope. Next one. Nope. How about this? That's what I'm talking about. What do we got here? 5/16. Jeez, I don't even need the ratchet. Do it by hand. So when you get to this part, and you got your little 3 nuts out, just keep turning. Or get yourselves a pliers. And just keep going. What we got here is a 7/8. Ooh, tight. Not anymore. Okay. Here's a fun fact. They did have airbags in these cars. Some Buicks too. GM pioneered that technology back in '73 with their Impalas. Look it up. It's quite fascinating. Some Cadillacs will come with airbags. And, this will blow your mind, fuel injection. That's right, they had fuel injection. It was a rare option. But this car does not, which is good because the fuel injection, is prestigious as it seems, it's problematic because it's in this early infancy of technology. So compare fuel injection of then to now, night and day, obviously. Anywho, we're at the part where we start pulling. There. Let's get that set up. Let's see what happens now. Keep turning. Not sure if it's working. Oh, did it come off? Yes, it did. Oh yeah, I forgot there's a spring in there. Okay. I haven't taken a Cadillac steering wheel off in years, so put the camera down and gingerly diffuse this like it was a pipe bomb. There. Gotta be a little bit more professional. Come on. It's almost there. Just a little bit. Get out of there, you fucker. Okay. We'll gingerly put that there. Ah. Come on, you fucker. There. There. I'll take the other side quick. Yep. Okay. Now we're making headway. Now, pointy tool. We gotta do that screw. Should be 3 of them. Yep. One there, there, and there. So this is gonna be about a 14 hand job right here. So get back to you when I get all that stuff off. Finally. Wasn't sure if I knew what I was doing there for a minute. You gotta tilt the thing down to give the wire some slack for this thing to pull out. Get a screwdriver in there to press in that tab that holds it in place to pop out. So, chuck this in the fucking Mississippi River. Now, get the new key for replacements. That notch there, that's cut in, it's got to match with that arrow right there. Should just click in place. That's pretty. See that knob right there going up and down? There, on, off. Can I get accessory? Accessory, there we go. We got all the options. There we go. Yes. Leave that in there. Now we put it all back together. That's in. I just gotta get that thread hole to center out. Ever so slightly tapper. There we go. May have to twist it or something. Where is that? Dealy bop. There we go. Yes, I cut the wire, but you know, you can always recrimp it. No big deal. Well, this is all done now. I got the clip on. Left turn, right turn. More importantly, accessory. Gotta lube that key a little bit. You know, can't get out of park. Yep. There. Now, we gotta put this back on. Leave it just like that. What else? This fucker. Unfortunately, the kit that I got did not have the right attachment to put the steering wheel back on. It needs a little threaded rod to bite into there to put into the fork, and then you basically just press down onto it. So I went to a hardware store and got my own threaded rod, some washers and a nut, so this should work. I already got it set into the splines. Cleaned them out a little bit, so it just slid right in a little bit. So now that this steering wheel is ready to be pressed on, just take the fork and just screw it. Just tighten it till it pushes it in. That's all you gotta do. See here, I think it's this one. Yep. A little bit easier. Now we're getting somewhere. For the most part, I got everything buttoned up, except for one little problem. There used to be a piece that would screw right into here that would control how you exercise your telescopic steering. Well, I lost that, so this thing can freely move back and forth, but you can control that just by putting any ordinary screw in there or bolt. It's fine the way it is right now. You know, it feels pretty comfortable just sitting normally. So we're just going to put a regular old bolt in there and just tighten it down, and I'll just put a kibosh on that. So this car will be without, you know, a telescoping function. Whoop-de-doo. There. That's all you need. There, to put this back on. Better make sure this bolt is set right. Not too tight, but not too loose. I don't want to go through this again. That seems about right. Well, the bottom out, that bolt does stick out a bit. Not really. This is just for the connection to make the horn work. If it works. Who the hell knows? Your guess is as good as mine. When it comes to that shit. Stick it in the hole. Almost. There we go. And we'll just put the 3 bolts back. I didn't lose those. It's pretty chaotic, but we got this fucking thing functional. Cadillac quality. The last thing I'll do tonight, I'm going to set some mouse traps. I suspect this car may have sat in an alleyway or maybe someone's front yard. I did find some weeds or vines or somewhat inside the engine bay, so growing into it, so it tells me this thing was sitting in by a bush or in a bush. Either way, mice got into it, and I don't know if they're still living in this car. So I'm going to set out about 4 of them. Well, it's the next day in the morning. I set up some mouse traps just because it's sat for 22 years. You know, my Mercury sat for way less and it had mice in it. 22 years for this, so it just goes without saying I laid about 4 of them. Nothing on the fender there. I set 3 more inside the car. You know, the running joke with these cars is they always seem to have bodies in the trunk or whatnot, which is like hidden dig at the mafia culture, obviously. So if I catch any mice, does that count as bodies? You know, I think so. As puny as that is, no pun intended. So, got the steering wheel all straightened out. Got the key action going on. Oh yeah. Someone was a smoker. Did find a cigarette on the floor. One in the box. Can't find a year on this thing. I'm guessing whoever's leaning in the engine bay had it in their pocket, bent over, fell out, and they forgot about it. I'll just leave that on the bumper as a memento. There. Let's go check the interior. No mice there. Nada. You know, this car is just going to have to sit in the garage until I can get it to run. And then when I get it all up to speed, then I can put it outside. Lighting is, well, it's good as it's going to get for the moment, so. You'd think this is like rover footage of Mars or some alien planet. No, this is just final roof. Looks like 3-day-old pizza in the fridge. Dries up in curls. I took a big chunk of it off at the junkyard when I first picked this up. It's not leaving any residue, so you can tell over there. I don't think it'd be hard removing this. I'm just going to give it a nice old hard top look. They're more sportier that way. I like the hard top appeal. That's why my Oldsmobile looks as good as it does. The vinyl tops, they look elegant, but man, do you pay a price for them because they do cause the C-pillars to rust out. I'm going to clean that out, put new connections on. That'll be today's objective. And we're going to see if we can get this motor to bump over. Because I got the keys to work in the ignition now, in the steering wheel. Now it's just to get the juice flying to the starter and get this motor to bump over. And once I get the crank at least 1 or 2 revolutions, then I'm going to dump out the fluid for some new oil. You know, 3,552 million steps at a time. We're going to start cleaning this out first before I start redoing the battery connections. Because now that I got the steering column, the keys can do the, you know, the old turn action. Now it's just to do the other end so they can all meet together and start that motor. We'll start doing all sucking action. There was a violent amount of rust on that battery tray, like big chunks. Well, seeing how I'm in the sucking mood today, well, with little success, well, little effort, it wasn't that hard surprisingly, I got the nut off the starter. Even jacked up, it's still cramped, so couldn't really video that. And either way, it's done. Thought that'd be a pain in the ass. I'm gonna get some snippers. Every wire's been cut. Right there. Okay. We're going for a top post action right here. So let's say I got the battery in and I hear some snap, crackle, and popping and it's not the serial. Well, it's better to have a top post than a side post because you can easily just pluck the top post off. You can get a car to run just letting it rest on the connections. I do it on my Mercury all the time. You're not supposed to, but I do it because I'm a lazy prick. It's, you know, you don't always have a, you can't yank a side post out and you need a ratchet, so in a panic and a hurry, it's not a good idea. But a top post, you hear something smelling, there's smoke, boop, now you just disconnected it. It's just quicker that way, so that's why I chose a top post. And Cadillacs used to have been that way. I don't know when they started doing the side post action, but they used to have been. This way. kind of battery we got? Everstart with a big value on it. Okay. I think this should be, ground's on this side. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I think the cable should be long enough, which is the good part. And it's red. Both cables are black, so to the novice, that gets confusing. Not knowing what one is the other. Okay, that should be good for the power. We're gonna do the negative now. That's way the fuck down there. It's like right on the frame. I need some extensions. We're gonna play a game. It's called Dig Your Hand into the Jar Full of Miscellaneous Sockets. Whatever one fits wins. That's what I'm gonna do. Will this work? Hey, I'm a winner. What do we got here? This is Craftsman size. Oh, 15 millimeter. Sometimes the brand is more indented than the size itself. I cannot for the life of me keep my tools organized, so it's everywhere. I don't feel bad because it happens to everyone. And the ones who keep their shops organized, where it's like a surgeon's table, well, they must have OCD and a drug addiction problem. Well, the ground is now fused. I was going to say out, but needs some more. Ooh, what's wrong with this fucker? We're gonna have to get all serious now. Come on, you whore. Come on. Come on. I don't even need to do this part. It's already unbolted. I can just go right next to it with the new wire. Come on, you whore. We're getting involved. Okay, for you kids watching, and you're just getting into the old car world, lesson number one, the simplest of things will take all fucking day. And there's no man on this earth will disagree on me with that. You could spend 8 hours trying to do a fucking nut that you machined round into a circle. Or anything else. Not that I've done that, but I've heard stories. Point is, don't expect it to go smooth no matter what the fuck you're doing. Expect the worst. Expect the worst case scenario that you strip the bolt and Bill Cosby is trying to molest you at the same time and you need to get your car going in 2 hours. You know, worst case scenarios. So you're trying to fix your car and keep your asshole intact. That is unbelievably stuck. Okay, we got the frame and the thing's bolted to the frame, but you got the fender, you know, sandwiched on top of it, and I'm trying to pull it out between the two. It does not want to release. Oh, you fucking whore. Ooh. Corroded battery cable dust. Oh. Goodness. I got 32 inches. That should be long enough. I got a 32 incher. That's what I say. Should be plenty long enough to just go from point A to point D. Look at that. I got the wires connected down to the starter. They both reach. The ground's connected to the frame. Now it's just a matter of zip tying them so they don't flop around. And I'm going to replace that fucker. That's all, you know, got a whole bunch of bumfuckery going on there. And I checked my other Cadillac for reference. It doesn't have that or that. It's just a single straight wire going back to the alternator. So whatever works for my other Cadillac, it'll probably work for this one. So I'm going to have to go consult with my collection of wires. One of these are bound to work. Thinking the orange one, if I can get one long enough. Oh, I did a professional job. That orange wire worked. It was long enough. Haven't zip tied it all together, but it's all there. We'll give it a little tap tap. Ooh. Huh. Must have did something funky with the steering wheel where it keeps the horn to stay on. No matter. I can always just pull the plug on the horns. Now I got all the wirings hooked up, the batteries in, ground positive, they're all good to go and tightened down. I even got a fire extinguisher. We're at that level of professionalism here today. Disabled the horn function. I don't know what I did in the steering column, but I just pulled the spring out so there's no connection to make the horn work. And I can make my own horns if I want to. I got a collection of air horns I can just throw in this thing. So we're going to turn this thing over just to see what it'll do. I'm not going to try and get it run right now. I just want the motor to make a few revolutions. So get this thing all set up. Alright, now we're going to connect the battery and get this thing ready. See if it'll start. There. We're live. It's, well, wait a minute here. Don't hear anything crackling. I'll crank it over and see what it does. Holy shit. Well, I guess that confirms that the motor's not locked up. You can't kill a Cadillac engine. It's actually work to kill these motherfuckers. I mean, it didn't lock up in 22 years. That deserves a toast. Oh, I'm all excited now. Now we're going to do the oil. Dump that out because I don't trust it. Even though it looks clean on the stick, I don't know what weight that fucker's going to be. I'm going to dump the oil out. I got 4 quarts of 10W30 with 1 quart of transmission fluid, Ford Type F, because it's detergent. It will clean out the motor. And Ford Type F is like the best that I know of for doing this type of trick. You always want to mix 4 quarts with 1 quart of tranny fluid, run it for about 100 miles, run it hot to operating temperature, dump it out immediately till it just pisses out of the pan. Then I'll put 5 more quarts of regular 10W30 with Wicks filters. Always go with Wicks, fuck the Fram. You know, we're making headway here, and I'm gonna fucking give this thing the taters, onions, and radishes. Oh, such a relief. We're making headway here. Yep. Get back here, you fucker. See what type of oil this thing's got. Nice steady flow. Some viscosity. I mean, it's not good, but it's not bad either. I'll check the filter as well. We're going from CarQuest to Wix. Here's a little tip for you boys and girls. Always put a little oil on the gaskets, or else you're gonna have a hell of a time taking them off later. Make sure that's oil coated and just screw it in. Oh yeah, and clean off the surface too. I wiped that down. Double check. Yep. Come on, you little fucker. Hand tighten it. So once it gets good and cute, one more turn and you're done. There. That's what we're going to bring this car back with. 4 quarts of 10W30 and 1 quart of Ford Type F. It's the better transmission fluid to use to wash out your motor. There's other transmission fluids to use, but Ford Type F is, better at it for this technique. So we're going to get this car to run on its own, smooth it out, whatever problems it have, vacuum leaks or carburetor issues. All the while I'm troubleshooting, just get the motor running like it's supposed to. This is going to be breaking it in, and we're re-breaking it in and cleaning it out at the same time. And when it's ready for the road, I'll put in 5 more quarts of this stuff. It doesn't need that no more. You only run that for like 50 to 100 miles. It'll be 5 quarts of that and another Wix filter. Alright, when we're going to be doing this, mix it first with the training fluid. It's going to go in first. And then the rest of the quarts, I'll just mix it all in. It's like peeing in a urinal, but with blood. Number 2. Oh yeah, before I even fire this thing up, I don't even know if it's got spark, I just know it turns over. But let's just say, yeah, everything works, it's gonna pop off. Before I even do that, I'm gonna put an oil pressure gauge to see if this thing's even got good oil pressure. For some reason, I don't know, I think it's false information on my part, but when you look at the dipsticks on these Cadillac engines, it says 4 quarts, which is bupkis. It can take 5. I run 5 in my other Cadillac all the time, no problems. Why the sticks say 4 quarts is beyond me. Don't need it. I mean, it needs 5. That's where I'm going for. There, match the rest. Now we're going to check the oil, see where we're on the stick. The stick says 4, I say 5. Yeah, 4 quarts, it's only, halfway between the add a quart and full quart. It's in between the lines on 4, even though that's max capacity. Huh. Yeah. It says capacity 4 quarts. Well, it's on 4 quarts. This is what it gives you. It's halfway between the add a full. It's in between the two lines to add a quart and your full. Basically, add a fifth. Now, usually when you're going to take a spark plug, well, it is wrong thing to say, but same principle. Usually when you take a sending unit out, spark plug, whatever, you want to vacuum or blow out the dust around it so it doesn't fall inside the motor. I already did that. Okay. What size is this? And it's 1/4. We're doing 1/4 today. Clamp her down or tighten it a little. Almost done. There, a couple more turns and we're good. There. Before I even put gas or anything into the motor, I'm going to run it off a gas tank, a separate one instead of the main one. And I wouldn't want to do it the other way anyways, just because look at that. If I ran it from the main gas tank, it would have just leaked right there. It's so dry rotted. So I got a 5-gallon gas tank. I'm going to hook it up to this. You know, I'll just bypass it all and suck it right into the motor. Won't need a fuel filter. Let's go get some gas. About a gallon will be enough just to get this thing going. Now we got 1 gallon of 91 octane without the ethanol. 1 gallon precisely, because here's a little trick for you boys and girls. When you got a motor that hasn't ran in about forever, use some 2-cycle oil or 2-stroke gas. Lubricates and rejuvenates the motor at the same time. When you got the top end of that motor is dry as a fucking Sahara because everything migrated down to the oil pan. So to start it not dry, to lubricate the cylinders, you mix a little bit of this with regular engine oil, gasoline. It'll lubricate the cylinders while the motor's firing up. Mix it with 1 gallon. That's all it needs is one just to get it, to figure out what this motor's doing. Yep, 2-stroke gas is perfect for starting up motors I haven't ran in years and years and years. Give it a good shake. That'll work. Put a little gas down the carburetor. I stuck the hose down the gas tank's mouth, so hopefully it pops. This is the first time it's ran in 22 years, since 1998. Let's see what happens. Well, it looks like it needs some more finesse, but she popped. That's good. There's spark getting down to the spark plug. It's just a matter of getting everything, you know, cycling again. So keep giving it some of that go juice. This ain't spring water. You can squirt some gas in there. It's getting better. Getting better. Oh, I'd say this calls for a celebration. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 22 years, 1998, runs today, 2020. We're not out of the woods yet. It's a runner, that's good. It's got good oil pressure. It's shot up to around 40. That's very good. This is all good signs, but there's still more to do. Because now we got to work on the cooling system now. I don't have a temp gauge in that, but I will eventually. Because if I'm going to let this thing run a bit longer, I got to make sure it doesn't overheat. And then we'll get this thing moving, and one step after another. So we're heading in the right direction, and I'm fucking stoked about it. This thing is going to be a good runner. It's going to own the road like it's supposed to. It's a Cadillac, for Pete's sake. And no fires. So it's a win-win of all wins. Oh man, I can't wait to drive this thing. And better yet, all the electrical stuff inside, well, the power windows all work, but I'm not going to play with them hardcore because they need to be relubed. Radio kind of works. Trunk button does not work. You press on it, but I can fix that. I'm going to explore it a little bit more and more, but you know, it takes a while to bring this car back to speed, you know. One step at a time. Well, now we're at the point where we can start doing the cooling system. I'm going to drain it out, put in some purified water, flush it out, you know, a few times. Because I don't know how gross it is on the inside of the engine. Even though the coolant looks green from the outside, looking at the corner of the radiator, and that's encouraging. I know what bad coolant can look like if you remember the Oldsmobile. Man, that's nasty. So we're going to flush it out with some purified water for a while, put an inline sending unit in the heater hose by the heater core because it's easier to do it that way. Then fist the motor elbow deep to find the other sending unit where it would normally go. Because I ain't in the mood to move the compressor or look underneath the distributor to feel it. You know, give the motor a physical. So we'll do it, the quick and easy way through the heater hose. Because I want this motor to run longer than 2 minutes. I'm going to put gas in the gas tank, about 5 gallons. Inline fuel filters, about 2 or 3 of them. Because I don't want greedy gas going to the carburetor. You know, baby steps before you can walk, before you can run, and so on and so on and so on, you know. Just keep having at it. I'm whipping shitties in this car in no time, let me tell you. Well, let's start with the coolant first. A little up north. There it is. I couldn't tell you if every motor GM sent out had these, but I know Cadillac did. Maybe Chevy, Pontiac, Olds, Buick has them, but I know Cadillac sure shit does. And this one takes 7/16. Hopefully a 16-quart, oil jug can handle it. Almost there. Hopefully it lands in the damn pan. Probably do this by hand now. Yep. Didn't expect that. Huh. Hey, if this is, well, this alone proves I'm not lying for sitting for 22 years. If the old license plate with the old tabs didn't convince you. Huh. I have to go South Paul. There. It was clogged, so I drilled it out, and it splashed all over me. While this is pissing out, I gotta check the other side of the block if there's a second drain cock. Just rule out any what ifs on that. Part of me thinks maybe, but I don't know yet. Nope, just the one. And it's a long piss. Oh yeah, I got a fuel line to do as well. 3 times the charm. It starts here. 1, 2, and 3. Forward and back around to there. Hopefully that's enough. Now it's just a matter of getting gas now and see if I can get this thing to idle for a while. Testing, testing. Well, the motor stopped pissing, but doesn't mean it's completely out of coolant. So we're going to do a little bit of a trick here. Requires some of these and a socket. I guess this 1/1/16 should do it. All you gotta do is wrap it and shove it in the hole. Take your other blue, may or may not be made out of cotton fiber material, wrap it around your air nozzle, and we're going to use air pressure to blow. We're going to use air pressure to blow the rest of the shit out of the motor. That's the plan. Keep that there pissed. Yep. Yep, it's still pissing. It's pissing out now. Now I'm hearing air coming out of the drain cock. I think that just about does it. I know it's going to take a gallon right off the bat, but 2 gallons? Maybe. Just eat it all. Because naturally, water wants to level out. So it's going down to the radiator through their low radiator hose and filling up the motor. But there will probably be air pockets on the top end, so hence we got to start the car and, you know, work all that stuff out and let it burp out. And it needs a 3rd gallon. Yep. I think we're good. Well, this is what I've come up with, and it's half right. In a state of hunger and dehydration, I put the valve in the wrong hose. That's correct, but that should have been over there to cut off flow to the heater core. Not really a big deal if I end up replacing the heater hose and all, which I will eventually. This is just as old as a car, but for now, I'm just going to worry about the temperature. Because the flow goes from the back of the motor into the heater core and then back out and into the radiator. And I'll just keep doing that till that opens up and keep cycling. So this is still a reliable spot. When I get to the point of replacing all these hoses, I'll just relocate that over there. No problem. Next is the fuel. Oh, I got 4 gallons even in this, so that's how much I know will be in this car. A little bit of a prime for a good time. Moment of truth. More gas. It's coming from the main tank now and not the small gas tank. Take 2. Success. Oh yeah, not much for brakes. Neutral. Motherfucker runs 22 years of how it runs. Pardon me, do you have any gray coupon? This fucker runs 22 years, no more. Running today. Fucking sweet. Albeit the charging system needs work. What the fuck does it on this car? It's a runner. Everything works, got oil pressure, good temperature readings, shifts in all gears instantly. You can't expect a perfect win if it's 22, sit on the ass car. The fact that it runs and its vitals are good, it's a win for me. So now it's just a matter of just ironing out the kinks and smoothing it out and making this thing a good daily driver once more. That's it for this video. So, there'll be more of this shit going on. You haven't seen the last of this blue car, and I've yet to come up with a name for it. And I need a drink again. Through all my airplane bottles. Maybe I can take this car to the liquor store. Well, we'll see.